Stop everything you're doing and listen closely, because what you're about to hear is the key to unlocking a power you've been taught to suppress. You can either embrace it and become a force of nature, or you can dismiss it and remain a prisoner of your own mind for the next decade. 2 days ago, I watched a talented, capable man shrink himself in a meeting. He had a brilliant idea, but he presented it as a question, seeking permission from people who weren't half as capable as he was. This man is everywhere. You see him in the mirror every morning. You feel him hesitate before you speak. You've grown tired of being polite when you should be powerful, of asking when you should be asserting, of fitting in when you were born to stand out. This isn't a personality trait. This is a cage. You were placed in this cage by a world that fears your true potential, that rewards compliance and punishes audacity. But nearly 2,500 years ago, a military strategist uncovered the fundamental laws of human conflict and advantage. His name was Sun Tzu, and he didn't write a book about war. He wrote a codex for victory in a competitive world. I'm talking about becoming the kind of person whose very presence shifts the balance of power in a room. The kind who doesn't need a title to lead because their authority is innate. The kind who sees 3 moves ahead while everyone else is stuck on the current board. I'm going to give you 8 ancient principles modernized for today's battlefield that will transform you from a participant in the game to a master of it. From someone who seeks validation to someone who validates themselves. From someone who fears conflict to someone who leverages it. But understand this, once these strategies are embedded in your mind, your old way of thinking will seem childish. Once you learn to play the real game, you can never go back to being a pawn. Your first act of defiance is to type this affirmation in the comments. I am the architect of my power. I am done playing small. Are you ready to claim your throne? 1. Become the strategist, not the soldier. Right now, you are reacting to the world. Someone is aggressive, you get defensive. Someone makes a demand, you scramble to comply. You are a soldier on the battlefield, taking orders from circumstance. Today, we promote you to strategist. The strategist doesn't react, he responds. He doesn't fight on the enemy's terms, he chooses the battlefield. Your reactive self is a puppet whose strings are pulled by every minor irritation, every perceived slight, every external demand. Your strategic self is the one holding the strings. This reactive programming is a trap. It makes you emotional when you need to be analytical. It makes you expend energy on skirmishes that don't matter to the overall war. Sun Tzu said, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." Your reactive self wants to win every argument. Your strategic self knows that most arguments are a distraction from true victory. Learn to recognize the difference. The soldier says, "I have to prove I'm right." The strategist says, "Is proving this worth my energy?" The soldier says, "They disrespected me, I must respond." The strategist says, "Their disrespect is a data point about their character, not my worth." The soldier gets drawn into chaos. The strategist observes the chaos from a hilltop, untouched. The transformation begins with a single question. Is this reaction serving my ultimate objective? When you feel the urge to lash out, pause. That is the soldier's impulse. Channel the strategist. Ask, what is the outcome I truly want? What is the most efficient path to get there? Does this person's opinion actually affect my mission? Your power doesn't lie in winning the battle of the moment. It lies in winning the war for your destiny. Stop being the soldier. Become the strategist. Choose observation over reaction. Choose the mission
over the moment. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am a strategist. My reactions are calculated. My peace is unassailable. 2. Control the terrain. Most people fight for advantage on a battlefield they didn't choose. They argue in someone else's office. They plead their case to someone who has already made up their mind. They bring a knife to a gunfight. You will be different. You will understand that victory often comes not from being stronger, but from controlling the environment itself. The terrain is everything. It's the timing of the conversation. It's the medium you use to communicate. It's the psychological state of your opponent. It's the information you choose to reveal. Most men lose because they are predictable. They always fight head-on. They always show their hand. They always explain their position. Sun Tzu said, "All warfare is based on deception." This doesn't mean lying. It means controlling perception. It means being unpredictable. It means letting others make assumptions that you can use to your advantage. When you control the terrain, you force others to play your game. You want a difficult conversation. Don't have it when they're ready and you're stressed. Schedule it for a time and place where you are centered and in control. You need to make a demand. Don't do it when you're desperate. Create a position of strength first. You're facing a competitor? Don't attack their strength. Identify the terrain they are neglecting and dominate it there. Your silence is terrain. Your patience is terrain. Your public reputation is terrain. Your network is terrain. Stop charging the front gate. Find the hidden path. Stop fighting on their terms. Define the terms yourself. Master the terrain, and you will find that many of your battles are won before they even begin. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control the terrain. I choose the battlefield. I dictate the terms.
3. Win before the battle. The amateur prepares for the fight. The professional wins the fight in the preparation. Right now, you are likely reacting to problems as they arise. You are putting out fires. The master strategist lives in a world where most fires are never allowed to start. He wins through superior positioning, intelligence, and alliances, making the final confrontation a mere formality. Most people are tacticians. They think about the next move. You must become a grand strategist, thinking about the entire campaign. Sun Tzu said, "Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win." Your preparation is your power. This means doing the research everyone else is too lazy to do. It means building the relationships others neglect. It means honing your skills until they are razor sharp, not just good enough. It means understanding your opponent's desires, fears, and likely moves better than they understand them themselves. When you walk into a negotiation, you should already have won it through your pre-work. When you face a challenge, your contingency plans should already be in place. This is not about anxiety, it's about assurance. The man who has prepared for 100 outcomes is calm in the face of one. Stop being surprised by the game. Start rostering it in the quiet, invisible hours before the game even begins. Your victory is built in the library, the gym, the quiet morning hours of planning, not in the noisy moment of conflict. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I win through preparation. My victory is secured before the first move is made. 4. Become formless. The biggest weakness a man can have is a predictable pattern. They know how to make you angry. They know what you will compromise on. They know your triggers. You have become a fixed, solid target. Your new power lies in becoming like water.
formless, adaptable, impossible to grab hold of, and powerful enough to wear down stone. When they expect you to be aggressive, be patient. When they expect you to concede, stand firm with a calm smile. When they prepare for a fight, simply walk away and achieve your objective through another means. Sun Tzu said, "Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate." Let them think they have you figured out, and then shatter their expectations. This isn't about being erratic. It's about being strategically unpredictable. It's about retaining the freedom to choose your response based on the highest strategic good, not your programmed emotional reaction. The man who is formless cannot be manipulated because his reactions cannot be anticipated. He cannot be intimidated because his priorities are internal and unshakable. He flows around obstacles, and in doing so, he reveals the obstacle's rigidity as its ultimate weakness. Stop being a statue. Become the river. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am formless. I am adaptable. I am impossible to hold. 5. Know your enemy, but know yourself first. You spend all your time, all your mental energy, trying to decipher their next move. You analyze their words, their tone, their social media, looking for clues in a game you don't even realize you're already losing. Why? Because you haven't even faced the enemy that lives in your own mind. The real war isn't out there, it's in here. It's the quiet voice of insecurity that questions your every decision before you make it. It's the fragile ego that flinches at criticism and hungers for praise like a drug. It's the desperate, bottomless need for approval that makes you compromise your standards to be liked. These are not minor flaws. They are traitors within your gates. They are the saboteurs who have already surrendered your victory before you ever step onto the external battlefield. Sun Tzu said, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But you, like most men, are a complete stranger to yourself. You don't know your true triggers, the specific words, the subtle tones, the particular looks that bypass your logic and send you spiraling into a reactive emotional child. You don't understand your deep-seated fears, the terror of being exposed as a fraud, the dread of abandonment, the primal fear of being powerless. You are blind to your own weaknesses, pretending they don't exist until an opponent ruthlessly exploits them. This ends now. You will become a master of self-knowledge. This is not a passive process. It is an active, relentless campaign of internal reconnaissance. You will conduct a forensic audit of your fears, sit in a quiet room and list them all, from the petty to the profound. See them for what they are, phantoms, most of which will never materialize. You will identify your triggers and systematically disarm them. When you feel that surge of anger or hurt, you will pause and ask, what old wound did that just touch? What insecure part of me is reacting? You will be brutally, unflinchingly honest about your weaknesses. You will write them down. You will stare at them without judgment, and then you will create a strategic plan, transform them into strengths, or make them irrelevant by building systems and alliances that cover them. When you truly know the landscape of your own soul, every valley of fear, every mountain of strength, every hidden trap of ego, no external opponent can ever use your own mind against you. You become a fortress that cannot be betrayed from within. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I know myself. My mind is my greatest ally. My weaknesses are disarmed.
6. Strike at the heart, not at the armor. Watch any amateur in a conflict. See how he exhausts himself, pounding his fists against the hardened, fortified positions. He tries to out-argue the narcissist who feeds on conflict. He tries to outshout the dramatist who thrives on chaos. He directly challenges the bully's physical strength, the rich man's wealth, the intellectual's pedantry. This is the surest path to defeat. It is like using a sword to batter down a stone wall. You would break your blade and leave yourself exhausted and vulnerable. Sun Tzu's genius was in understanding that victory is not about overpowering strength, but about rendering it irrelevant. You must avoid the shield and strike at the heart. Every single person, no matter how powerful they seem, has a critical vulnerability, a core system that, if disrupted, causes their entire structure to collapse. The arrogant man's vulnerability is his ego. A public challenge will make him dig in, but a subtle, unanswerable question that exposes his ignorance will shatter him from within. The manipulator's vulnerability is his need for control. Taking away his ability to predict you by being unpredictable, by refusing to play his games, leaves him powerless and frantic. The bully's vulnerability is his cowardice. Standing your ground without aggression, but with unshakable calm, reveals that he cannot intimidate you, and he will quickly search for easier prey. Stop swinging at the shield. Your energy is your most precious resource. Conserve it. Observe with the detached focus of a surgeon. Look for the gap in the armor, the slight wince, the overly defensive response, the topic they avoid. Your victory lies in a single, precise, devastatingly effective strike at that core system. Do not waste 10 actions where one will suffice. Be patient, be silent, be unseen until the moment you identify the heart. Then move with absolute finality. Your goal is not to prove you are stronger than their defense. Your goal is to make their defense meaningless by targeting the very thing that gives it life. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I strike at the heart. I target weakness. I am devastatingly efficient. 7. Use perception as a weapon. Here is a truth that will liberate you from a lifetime of frustration. The world does not respond to who you are. It responds to the perception of who you are. You can be the most capable, intelligent, and morally sound man in the room, but if you are perceived as weak, hesitant, or needy, you will be treated as such. Your reality is irrelevant. Their perception is your reality on the battlefield of social interaction. Most men neglect this fundamental law. They cling to the childish notion that their competence should speak for itself. It doesn't. Competence in silence is often perceived as ignorance. Humility without a reputation for power is perceived as weakness. But perception is not a mystery. It is a terrain you can control. Sun Tzu said, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." This is the blueprint for crafting perception. Be a man of mystery, not an open book. When people cannot easily read you, they cannot predict you, and they will assume a depth that may or may not be there. Let your reputation for decisive action precede you before you even enter a room. Become a legend, not a resume. Your image is not vanity. It is a strategic tool as crucial as any weapon. Craft it deliberately through your actions, your silence, and your calculated disclosures. Protect it fiercely by never acting against it in public. Every handshake, every glance, every posted word is either fortifying your strategic perception
or tearing it down. Command the narrative, or someone else will write it for you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I command perception. My reputation is a weapon. My presence is calculated. 8. The final transition. Claim your sovereignty. This is the synthesis of everything. This is the moment you stop merely applying strategies and you become strategy itself. This is the final glorious transition from being a player in someone else's game to being the undisputed master who defines the game, the rules, and the very board it is played on. To be sovereign is to become the ultimate, unassailable source of your own authority, validation, and direction. It means your inner kingdom is so fortified, so rich in resources, and so peacefully ordered that external wars, criticisms, and challenges cannot breach its walls. The sovereign man is answered to no one for his standards, his time, or his vision. He declares what is, and the world aligns. People will still test you. In fact, they will test you more because your unshakable strength becomes a mirror that reflects their own weakness, and they will try to smudge the glass. Let them. They will push against your boundaries with renewed force. Let them exhaust themselves. They will find no purchase, no crack, no hidden insecurity to exploit. You have become the strategist, so you see their maneuvers from a mile away. You control the terrain, so they are always fighting on your terms. You win through preparation, so you are never caught off guard. You are formless, so their attacks pass through you like wind. You know yourself utterly, so they cannot manipulate your emotions. You strike at the heart, so you end conflicts with surgical precision. You command perception, so your very arrival shifts the atmosphere in your favor. Sun Tzu said, "The greatest victory is that which requires no battle." Your greatest victory is the profound, unshakable peace that comes from this absolute self-mastery. You are no longer seeking a kingdom to rule from outside yourself, a better job, a higher status, more admiration. You have realized the monumental truth. You are the kingdom. Your mind is your counsel, your discipline is your army, your values are your law, and your vision is your crown. You do not need to conquer the world. You need only to rule the world that is already yours, your attention, your energy, your one precious life. You are ungovernable by any external force. You are sovereign. Now, go forth and rule.